In this video, I'm going to show you how to start your hosting journey on Airbnb. Let's go. So my name is Manish and I've been hosting on Airbnb since 2016. As you can see, I have an overall rating of 4.9, 100% response rate, and I've hosted over 422 nights for about 300 plus guests over these years. And I've also maintained a 0.0% cancellation rate. Now, this is what will help you become a Superhost, but first, let's try to become a host on Airbnb. So the first step would be to go to airbnb.com/r/Airbnb Details. That's my referral link. Now, the reason why I'm sharing my referral link is because I can be your Superhost ambassador, which means I can help you in your hosting journey. As you can see, I've helped over 376 new hosts start their Airbnb business and put up their listings on Airbnb. And a lot of them have found my advice helpful. So if you'd like me to help you out personally, you can sign up on that link. So let's click on Ask a Superhost, and then you will need to add in your details. So you can just log in with email or with your phone number as well. I'm going to start with email. Add in your details and click on Agree and Continue. You can go ahead and read about their community commitment and other guidelines and click on Agree and Continue. So as soon as you sign in, I'll give you a detailed message on how you can get started. So for now, you can close this and let's click on Become a Host. All right, so the first point is to tell Airbnb about your place. And then I'll show you some tips and tricks which help you make your Airbnb stand out as well. So let's click on Get Started. Next. The first step in the Airbnb hosting process is to describe your place. So it can either be a house, apartment, or any of the below options. Now, in most cases, it would be a house or a room. So what you can do is you can click on house here and click on next. Now, you can either host your entire property or you can host even a separate room in your property or even a shared room as well. In my case, I started with a separate room in our house. So we had a 3-bedroom house and we gave away one room in our house on Airbnb. So let's select a room and let's click on next. Now you will need to add in your address. So I'm just going to give my address. And then you will need to add in the right address here as well. So let's go ahead and do so. It's important that you add a landmark as well, so that's easy for guests to reach your Airbnb. And finally, the PIN code. Now here I would switch this off because I do not want guests to see my exact location since this is an independent house and I stay here along with my parents. So I would like some amount of privacy. But if you'd like to show your location and if you are, for example, a hotel or a resort or more, you can switch this on as well. For now, I'll leave it off and I will click on next. Now, if it says that the address is not correct, you can just say, yes, my address is correct, and then go next. All right, so this is close to my location. You can also move the pin to the exact location. Now, only after the guest books your Airbnb will the location be shared with the Airbnb guest. All right, so that is my exact location. It's important that you put the pin in the right spot. Now, let's click on next. All right, so now you can start with the basics. So how many guests would you like to host? Now, in my case, I would like to host just one guest for now. And later, once I have enough reviews, I would consider increasing the number of guests I would like to host. Now, if you're having a property with multiple rooms, what I would suggest is create multiple listings. And you can create listings for a set of rooms, separate rooms, and more. For now, I will leave this as one guest, one bedroom, one bed. It's important that your bedroom has a lock, so the guests feel secure as well. So I would highly recommend that you install a lock for your bedroom. In this case, I do have a lock, so I'll click on yes, click on next. I have a private attached bathroom. Now, if you don't, you can leave it at 0. Now, if it is a private bathroom but accessed through a common hallway, then you need to select dedicated. And if it's shared with other people, you need to select shared. In my case, it's private, and that's something which I would recommend for future hosts as well, to have a private bathroom if possible. Now let's click on next. So here you can select who will be staying with the guest. In this case, it would be my family. Now, if you won't be staying with the guest, then you can select other guests or you can select roommates as well. But in most cases, it would be my family or me. So let's click on next here. All right, so now it's time to make our Airbnb listing pop and stand out. So let's click on next. which is step 2. So now the most important part of the Airbnb listing is to show how much your place has to offer. So in my case, I have Wi-Fi, I have a TV as well in the ground floor. I have a kitchen, washer, free parking. There is no air conditioning for now, so I will leave that off. Dedicated workspace, which is very important when it comes to hosting on Airbnb, because a lot of guests like to stay on staycations and stay for longer periods and work in Airbnbs. So if you'd like to host 1 month long stays, 2 month long stays, I would definitely recommend investing in a workspace like a table. Now, if you have a pool, you can select a pool. I do not have any of these. I do not have a hot tub. Barbecue grill is not there as well. None of these, so I would leave it off. Now, I have some basic safety items, so I will select first aid kit. It's a good idea to invest in a fire extinguisher as well, so I will select fire extinguisher. I do not have these two, so I will leave it off. Now let's click on next. Now it's time to add some photos of your house. So you can go ahead and select some really good photos. I would highly recommend that you have at least 8 photos. Airbnb recommends 5 photos, but I would recommend 8 photos and high quality photos. So you would need to have close-up shots, wide shots, photos of the exterior, photos of the interior, maybe some interesting aspect of your Airbnb listing. You could also show photos of the surroundings and more. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-add the photos just to show you guys. Now these are the various photos of my Airbnb. We did have a professional photographer who came home and took these photos in 2016. So you can see we have the exterior shot, more exterior shot, one side and one front, which is more than enough. And then we have various shots of the room. It's a very simple room. This is actually my room and where I used to stay, but I had to move abroad. So I decided to list my room on Airbnb, which worked out well for us and our family. So as you can see, we have the interior photos, very professional sort of photos. And what I also did is make sure each and every photo add a caption as well. I'll show you how to add those captions. So you can see these are the various photos of our Airbnb. Nice close-up shots, which is also useful while adding photos on Airbnb. You can show what your Airbnb has to offer. This is a very basic Airbnb if you ask me, but you can see we have a nice big balcony and with some plants. So I'm showing the guests what they have in store when they come and stay with us. Now the bathroom photo is also important. Make sure your commode is of course closed and is super clean and neat before you take these photos. This is the access to the rooms. So this is a room within our house, like I mentioned. So we go up the stairs and we reach our room. This is the ground floor showing the living area. So we've made sure that the house is super neat and clean. And of course, it's always neat and clean when the guests arrive. This is our kitchen. So you can see this is a very modest house. We are a middle-class family and I am a bit opportunistic. So this is why I hosted on Airbnb. I'm also showing the access road. So you can see this is the access to our house. Again, another exterior shot. And what I also do is I post a screenshot of how fast the internet is in our house. This is very important because nowadays we have a lot of people working from home and it's important they have good internet speeds. So if you do not have a good internet speed, I would highly recommend investing in one and also take a screenshot of your internet speed and upload it on the photos. Now let's add these photos. So let's click on upload from your device. Let's go to desktop, house Airbnb. And I'm going to select some of these photos. So let's click on open. All right, so Airbnb selected a cover photo. You can of course change this by just clicking on here and selecting make cover photo. So that would make it the cover photo. So I'll make this as the cover photo. I like this exterior shot. Let's click on next. Now let's give a house title. Now it's very important that you give a very appropriate title. Now I'll show you a trick on how you can come up with a house title. So let's go to ChatGPT and let's add in some context to create a cool title for our Airbnb. Alright, so as you can see, I've given a very detailed description about our Airbnb. I've asked ChatGPT to suggest few titles and also write a description for my Airbnb. So let's press enter and let's see what it generates. Alright, perfect. So I like this second title here. So cozy room with balcony in serene HPR layout close to Manyata Tech Park. my goal is to target the IT folks in Bangalore so they can come and stay with us. So I will select that. You can also go with access to park and high speed internet, which is also a really good title. So I would highly recommend using ChatGPT. So I'm just going to add the title here. So now you can see the maximum number of characters is up to 32. So let's remove Manita. Let's remove close to Tech Park as well. Let's paste this in. So we have about 43 characters. So what we can do is we can ask ChatGPT because we have only up to 32 characters. So let's see. So this is the prompt I've given it. So let's tap enter. So let's go with cozy room near Manita Tech Park. So I'm going to paste this in and let's click on next. All right, so now let's describe our room or house. So we can select only up to 2. So I'm going to select peaceful and spacious. So let's click on next. Now we can give a description for our space as well. So you can see we have up to 500 characters. So we can select the description from here, but I'm sure this is more than 500 characters. So I'll ask ChatGPT to make it less than 5. And I'm going to paste this in. ChatGPT does a really good job and it sort of conveys what I have in my mind as well. If it doesn't, you can go ahead and edit some of it. But in my case, it does most of it, most of the job. So let's click on next. Now we'll need to finish up and publish our listing. So let's click on next again. So this step is very important where you will need to select the kind of guests you would need for your listing. So if you are a beginner host, I would recommend that you select any Airbnb guest. Now, if you're cautious about hosting, you can select an experienced guest. Experienced guests are those who have stayed at Airbnbs before and have maintained a certain review rating level. If you like to feel more safe, you can select an experienced guest. But if you are a beginner and if there is a lot of Airbnbs around your area, then I would definitely recommend that you go with any Airbnb guest. So let's click on next. Now you can set the price in your Airbnb listing. So what I would recommend you guys do is go to Airbnb, type in the area where you want to stay. So I'm just going to put in some random dates. If you like long-term stays, you can select long-term. Or if you like short-term stays, you can select short-term as well. Let's go for long-term for now because I like to have long-term guests. And let's click on search. So you can see this is another room that I host, which is on Airbnb. It's a very basic room. We've, of course, updated it, but we haven't updated the photos. So we'll do that soon. So now you can see the pricing here. Right now it's in euros since I'm in Germany, but in your case, it might show up in INR. So you can see the average price is around 15 to 20 euros. 13 euros. Now the average price also depends on the kind of listing you have. If you have a very posh listing, of course, you would need to increase the average night price. In my case, a very basic listing, so I can go with the basic price and add it to our listing. Airbnb also suggests a pricing per night in your area, and this seems to be apt for our listing. So I'm going to keep it at $9.93. You can also offer 20% off on your first 3 bookings. So this would help you get bookings faster as well. So I would suggest that you keep this on. So let's click on next. And the final step is to add these details. Now we do have a security camera. Now this is for the safety of us and for the guests as well. So I'm going to switch this on. We do not have weapons and we do not have dangerous animals. Now, if you do not have security cameras, I would recommend that you switch it off. There were instances where Airbnb is a little wary of listings with security cameras. But our reason why I'm ticking this on is because we have it in the front porch. Now, when you click on next, it'll ask you where these cameras are located as well. So if you do, please switch this on. All right, so finally, you can review the listing. You can see how the listing looks. So right now, cozy room near Manyata Tech Park. Confirm a few details. You can set up your calendar as well. I'll show you all that and more. But we're almost there. So let's click on next again. And voila, we are on Airbnb. And this is Brian Chesky, the co-founder and CEO of Airbnb. You can go ahead and watch his video. He's a very nice guy. I would definitely recommend watching his video. All right, so let's click on let's get started. And voila, welcome to Airbnb. So they've added some updates. They keep adding updates and more on Airbnb. So if you watch this video, there might be few instances which are different, but I'm sure this video should hold good for another few years. Alright, now the first few things what you need to do is you need to verify your identity. So you need to click on get verified. So you need to provide a legal name and address, or you can provide a government ID. So you can go with government ID, click on continue. You can upload an existing photo. You need to add in your country, either driver's license, passport, and more, and then upload it here. So I'm not going to do that now because I already have my listing. So I'm just going to go back. And we also need to confirm few details. So let's click on start here. You can add in your phone number and you can add in your identity. So those are the two main important details that you would need to finish. Okay, so this is your Airbnb hosting dashboard. You can switch between hosting and traveling by going to your profile here and clicking on switch to traveling or switch to hosting. Now what I would recommend is go to your profile and then click on create profile. Now here you can add in all your details about you, what you do, what you're into, your past trips. You can switch this on as well in case you've been using Airbnb to stay. It'll show you where you stayed before. So I would highly recommend that you add in all these details and add in a nice photo of yours as well. So let's click on done here. Let's go back to switch to hosting. All right, so next what you can do is you can go to inbox. So you can see you will get my automated message on what you need to do as an Airbnb host. And you can send me a message and I'll try to help you out as much as I can. Next is calendar. So now what I'll do is I'll jump to my original profile and I'll show you how the dashboard is. Okay, so this is our dashboard. As you can see, this is who we are hosting. There are a few guests which are upcoming in the future. And then if there are guests who are checking out and more, they will show up here. So now let's go to inbox. So inbox is where you will get messages of both the guest and in my case also Airbnb ambassador host messages. So you don't have to worry about these, but you will get messages from guests here in your inbox. Next, let's go to calendar. Now this is very important. This is where you can block or unblock dates. So let's open our calendar here. So let's click on our listing calendar. So you can see right now we have a guest who's staying up to 30th and we have our future guests. This is how it shows up. Now if you like to block certain dates, you can just select these dates like this. You can hold down shift as well and these will select all these dates and then you can click on block. Now I do not want to block those nights, so I'll keep it open and I'm going to close this. So that's a quick note for you guys. Now you can change the discounts as well. So if you click here, you can set the discount per week or you can also set it per month as well. So if you have a long-term stay, you can give them a good discount. You can also create custom promotions for certain dates on Airbnb. For example, if there is a festival or if there is a lot of people who are going to come during specific dates, you can select these dates. Now, for example, if I select these dates, you can click on next and I can set a discount on these dates. So this is for specific dates. So I generally haven't used this option, but you can try that out as well. The main thing is to set a weekly discount and a monthly discount. You can also add additional charges. I have not added these charges. It's included in our pricing. You can also add an extra guest fee in case the guest wants to bring another guest. So you can add per bed. So you can add it accordingly. Maybe about the same price as the Airbnb listing or about 40% less or 50% less of the Airbnb listing price. You can also add a cleaning price, but I would recommend that you manage the cleaning on your own and try to include it in your listing price. Now, if you go to availability, what I've done is I've set a trip length. So I've set the minimum nights to 3 nights. So only guests who would like to stay for at least 3 nights will be able to book our Airbnb. You can of course make this 1 and click on save. So they can stay for 1 night as well. You can also set the maximum number of nights in case you do not want a guest to stay for more than 30 days or 40 days. You can set the maximum number of nights as well. You can also set custom trip lengths for specific dates. So a lot of flexibility with hosting on Airbnb. Now what I've also done is I've set something called a preparation time. What this does is it blocks off the previous day and the next day after a booking. The reason why I did this is because my parents are the hosts right now and they are staying with the guests. So I'd like to give them the comfort of taking their time and getting the room ready before that next guest arrives. So this is your choice. I would recommend that you set it to none in case you want continuous bookings. You can also set an availability window. Now, if your Airbnb is going to be viral and it's going to be booked months in advance, you can set an availability of window of 12 months in advance, 24 months in advance, where guests can book 2 years in advance for your Airbnb. Now, if your Airbnb reaches that stage, please do drop a comment in this video. I would love to also book your Airbnb. Now, there's something called advance notice. So basically, Airbnb sends you an email prior to the next guest. So you can make sure that the email reaches you at least 2 days before the next guest arrives. If you click on more availability settings, then you can set a restricted check-in and check-out on certain days if their stay starts on these days or ends on these days. Now, I would like the guest to decide when they would like to check in and check out, so I would leave this off. Now, there's also calendar sync. So if you like to sync your Google Calendar, you can do so as well. I haven't done that so far, but this is also an option that Airbnb has to offer. So this is all you need to know for calendar. Now let's go to insights. So this is the performance of your listing, and you can see right now my listing is about 60%, which is about 10% better than other listings. I will need to, of course, improve my listing a bit more so that it reaches at least 75 and hopefully one day till 100%. So these are the various options that Airbnb recommends that you add. So you can see let guests book instantly. I have 3 listings, out of which 2 are available for guests to book instantly. So for now, I have left it off. And then you have some other features which I've already added. So earnings shows how much you're earning per month. And it also shows the number of nights booked and unbooked nights per calendar year. Occupancy rate is the occupancy percentage rate per month of your Airbnb listing. So right now it is low. It's about 35% because we had to travel and we had blocked out the day. All right, so now we have Superhost, which I mentioned in the start of this video. So there is an assessment period for Superhost. It's generally every year, but they also do it per every 3 months as well. So if you maintain a certain level and if you maintain that level for a sustained period every 3 months, so try to make sure you have a very positive rating and you provide a positive experience for your guests. And finally, we have something called listing issues. Now, this is in case there is some issues with your listing, but in our case, it's fine. So we can let it be. Now let's go to menu and you can see these are the various options that we have. So let's go to listings here. And now from listings here, we can edit our listing. So let's open one of our listings. So if you click here, it'll show you the various listing details here. So Airbnb will ask you in case you haven't added certain information. So in my case, I haven't added this information. So I'm just going to click on add details and I'm going to add lock here. Now, if you are available, you can add in this detail here as well. I'm going to leave that as is. You can also add some entertainment facilities that you have. I will leave this off for now. And in case your listing is family friendly, you can also add certain details here like a baby bath, baby monitor, crib, and more. All right, so this is our listing title. Then we have our listing description. So let's click on edit here. And then we can add in more details. So you can add in more details about the space, how the guest can access the space, other details to note, interaction with guests. So make sure you fill in all of these boxes. You can, of course, use ChatGPT as well in case you find it difficult to add the description on your own. But please do check what ChatGPT has generated as well because it's not always correct. Now, what you can also do is you can set a custom link for your listing. I haven't set a custom link for now, but hopefully in the future I will do so. Now, if you'd like to snooze your listing and not show up on Airbnb, you can click on edit here and change the listing status to snoozed or unlisted as well. But I would not recommend doing this. Just keep it switched on to listed so that it improves the SEO of your Airbnb as well. Now, these are the various amenities that I've added. So click on edit here and then you can start adding these amenities. There are a lot of options here, so you can go ahead and select the ones which you have to offer. Finally, we have the location, neighborhood, description, getting around, location sharing. So if you click on edit here, this is your listing. So there were a few details missing in my listing because, as you know, this was updated in 2016 and they keep making few UI changes on Airbnb. There were few information missing from my listing. Okay, in case you need to change your listing, if you already have reservation requests, then you need to contact support. So I will need to contact support to update this because the area was wrong. So sometimes things like that happen when you are hosting. So I'm showing you what can happen or can go wrong when you're hosting on Airbnb as well. Alright, so next is neighborhood description. So you can go ahead and add more details about the neighborhood, what it has to offer. Then getting around, so you can show how far the bus is, the bus stand, whether there's Ola or Uber services, auto services, and more. Now, location sharing, if you click on edit, you can click a specific location or a general location. I did mention that if you like to have more privacy, that you can select general location, but if you're new and if you want to give the guest a more seamless experience, you can click on specific location as well. Now, if you want more privacy, you can switch this on where the guests won't be shown your address, last name or phone number till they're able to cancel for free. So you can switch this on in case you want that option. We'll close this. Finally, you can add in some scenic views. So in case you have some nice views from your Airbnb. In my case, I do not have good views, so I'm going to switch this off. And then you can go in and add in additional details as well. So the property type, the rooms and spaces. So the various rooms that you have. And you can add in the photos as well for these rooms if it is there. So in this case, my family will be staying with the guests. So I'm going to click on save. Finally, the category is important. So in my case, it's a room. So it comes under the room category. You can also go ahead and add accessibility for handicapped people. In my case, it's not handicap friendly. So because we have a spiral staircase, I'm going to leave this off. I did mention that there is a security camera. And you can also make sure that your Airbnb is not suitable for children. So I have switched this off. And these are the various other options that Airbnb has to offer. So once you add the security camera, what you can also do is add a message here. So click on edit and just make sure you add this message on where the security camera is located. And also make sure you confirm this. And click on save. Alright, so we covered most of it under listing details. Now let's go to pricing and availability. So here you can see what the guests pay. So you can review the pricing. So generally the Airbnb fee is about 3% of the host payout. And they charge about 14% from the guest as well. So you can see we have the guest service fee. And then we have the taxes. And then this is the total out of which your earnings would be so much. So let's close that. Now you can change the nightly price. So let's click on edit here. So you can set the minimum price, the maximum price, and you can set smart pricing. So Airbnb change the pricing depending on your area and how the market performs. I would recommend that you switch on smart pricing as well. So let's click on cancel here. Then you can also set the listing currency. Now if you're hosting from India, I would highly recommend that you set it to INR itself. Next is the discounts. So you can set a weekly discount. So click on edit here. You can set various discounts. So the weekly discount, the monthly discount. You can also set discount for other stays. So the length of the stay, let's say it's about 12 weeks. Then you can set a larger discount for 3 months and more. You can also set additional charges. I have not set any additional charge. And then we have taxes. So you can click on edit here. Now there is an occupancy tax that goes with Airbnb. So you can click on review the tax here. So you can see the current tax rate for GST as well. So it depends per night. So if it's up to 7,500, it's about 12%. And if it's more than 7,500, it's about 18%. Now, if you are a GST registered host, you can add in the GST number just by going to your account and going to taxes. So just go to account here and click on taxes. And then you can add in your GST information and more here. So as you can see, I have a GST number and I've added it here. So you only need a GST number if you cross 20 lakhs per year. Now this value can change. This is as per 2023. Now if I'm wrong, you can add in the comments below. But as for my knowledge, it's about 20 lakhs. So if you cross that threshold, then you will need to register for GST. And if you do not have a GST number, then you will not be required to file for any GST returns as well. The GST threshold is also depends on your state. So please do consult with your tax consultant before applying for GST. I will create a specific video later for tax in the future. So let's go back. Next is the trip length. So as you can see, I've set a minimum stay of 3 nights. And you can also set a minimum stay of by the check-in day as well, which is a pretty useful feature. I've not set the maximum stay and custom trip lengths, but you can go ahead and do so as well. And then I've also set an advance notice. Like I mentioned before, we have a preparation time. And then we have availability window. So you can click on edit here. So our Airbnb is available up to 2026. So guests can book up to these dates. Alright, so now let's go to policies and rules, which is the next option here in our listing. So we have a cancellation policy in Airbnb. So let's click on edit here. So right now what I've said is flexible, which means guests will get a full refund up to 1 day prior to arrival. Now, if you do not want to give a full refund 1 day prior to arrival, you can go for a flexible or non-refundable option as well. And you can go through any of these options here. If you read the description, it details out what you get and what you don't get depending on the option. If you are a beginner and if you do not have any reviews, I would highly recommend that you stick with flexible for the first few bookings. And then once you get good reviews and more, you can change this option here as well. So you can see we have moderate, which is full refund 5 days prior to arrival. Then we have moderate or non-refundable. So guests pay 10% less, but you keep your payout no matter when they cancel. Then we have firm. So full refund for cancellations up to 30 days before check-in, within 48 hours and at least 14 days before check-in. So I'm not really sure how it works because I'm happy with keeping the flexible option. We have a long-term stay cancellation policy as well. So this is what Airbnb recommends. So we are going with what Airbnb had to recommend. Then we have instant book. So if you click on edit here, instant book means the guest can book your Airbnb directly without you having to accept their booking offer. So you can switch this on. And there's also optional instant book settings. So I've switched this on because I would like to have guests only with good track records, which means they have positive reviews on their profile. And I've also added a pre-booking message, which means I would like to know what time their guests will arrive once they instantly book a space. So you can add a message like this for your guests. Then we have the house rules. So there's no pets allowed in our Airbnb, no events allowed as well. Smoking, vaping is alright, but I did mention in the description that it has to be done outside the house or in the balcony. And commercial photography is okay with us as well. Then we have something called quiet hours, which means the guest has to maintain silence during this time because we are in a neighborhood. And then we set in the check-in time and check-out time. So we have a very reasonable check-in time, which is about 1 p.m. And we have very reasonable checkout time as well. Generally, it is about 2 p.m. in hotels or even 3 p.m. sometimes. And the checkout time is generally about 11 a.m. in hotels. And some Airbnbs also have the checkout time at 11 a.m. Now, if you're hosting guests every day, I would highly recommend that you set the check-in window at after 2 p.m. So you can see after 2 p.m. And you can also set an end time. So you can be from 2 p.m. to say, for example, up to 9 p.m. where guests can check in. So I'm going to set it to about 9 p.m. or let's say even 10 p.m. and click on save. And we can set out the checkout time as well. So in this case, there's only one time. So it's about 12 p.m. Number of guests is 1. Now you can add additional rules. So it's very simple message. Just keep the room clean and do not make too much noise when you guys are. Very simple additional rule. I've also added a additional requirement from the guests that they do need to have a profile photo. So if you turn this on as a requirement, they will need to have a profile photo. Otherwise, they will not be able to book your listing. Then we have local laws and regulations. So depending on where you're hosting from, you will need additional documents or NOCs from the government or the local government body in your area before you host. So make sure you have all those documents ready if you are hosting on Airbnb. You can also set up the primary use of the listing. So the space primarily set up for guests. In case you have personal belongings, you can select the second option. Alright, perfect. Now let's go to info for guests. So you can see this is what they get when they are booking. So check-in window time, checkout time. We also have a guidebook. So this is another useful feature which I will create a separate video for. So this is my guidebook. So basically showing the various options that we have next to our house, like restaurants, drinks and nightlife, sightseeing, parks and nature, shopping, the supermarket, and more. So it's a good idea to create your own guidebook. So we go back, you can create one here. It's a very simple process, but I will try to create a specific video for this as well. Now, if you'd like to have a in-person interaction with guests, or if you'd like to keep it remote, you can select an option here. So you like to say hello in person, but keep to myself otherwise. I like socializing. Or you can just select no preference. I'll follow my guest lead. I'm just going to leave it off. This, I think, is a new option. So I'm going to switch that off. I'm not going to select any option for that. Okay, so after the guests have booked, this is what they get to see. So you can see the address, the directions, the Wi-Fi details. So you can add in the Wi-Fi details here as well. You can also do a Wi-Fi speed test, which Airbnb has to offer. So this will verify the Wi-Fi speed in your room. Then we also have a house manual. So you can see the Wi-Fi is always on. There's 24/7 solar, hot water. You can add in more details, a very basic manual that I've added. Now you can also add a check-in method. So if it is a remote check-in, you can add a smart lock, a keypad, a lockbox. So if you select lockbox, then you will have to add the code and more. So things like that. In my case, my parents will be greeting the guests, so I will keep it as host greets you. You can also set a checkout instruction in case you want a guest to clean the room or take out the garbage or something like that. You can set a checkout instruction as well, or giving them an idea of where to place the keys and more. You can do so as well. Finally, we have co-hosts. Now, in case you would like to invite your co-host, you can do so by clicking here. In my case, I have my parents as my co-hosts, so I've invited them. I'm the main host and I'm hosting remotely at the moment and traveling the world. My parents are happy hosting on Airbnb because they get to meet different kinds of people from all around the world. Okay, perfect. So we covered most of it so far about how to host, the various tools that Airbnb has to offer. I will create more such videos. If you like this video, please do like and drop a comment in the video as well, so I get to know that this video is useful. And if you like more such videos, you could subscribe if you would like to. It would just keep me motivated in creating content. This is just to show you guys how I've hosted and also to promote my Superhost Ambassador program. So you can join using the referral link, which will be in the description. Yeah, so that's about it. If there's anything else or if there's any doubts that you guys have, please do drop a comment in the description and I'll be happy to answer any of them. Alright, so happy hosting. I hope you guys be great hosts. Just keep the basics right. The message that I will send you once you join my referral link is super useful. Please follow that step by step. And in case you have any doubts, you can ask me directly on Airbnb as well if you signed up with the referral link. With that said, I hope you found this video useful or the series of videos useful. I hope you have an awesome journey hosting on Airbnb and you host a lot of guests around the world and from India and you learn a lot about hosting. To end, I would like to just say that Airbnb is not like a typical hotel. It is more about the experience that you will provide the guests. It's like how you stay at home and you feel comfortable staying in your own house. Try to provide the same kind of experience to your guests. It should always be like they are coming back to their own home when they come and stay with you as a guest. Alright, so I hope you found this video useful. I'll see you guys in the future videos. Subscribe and like Airbnb Tales. I also have a podcast in case you like to feature yourself on the podcast. Drop a comment or email me at airbnbtales@gmail.com. See you guys in the future video. Cheers.